Yes, we're going to talk about thrash metal riff writing and some of the concepts that I think have overlapped between some of my favorite thrash bands, earlier Megadeth, Metallica, all the way up to Sodom and Slayer. I'm not going to name them all, but I'm sure you have your own favorites as well. So we're going to get into a few different tips on how to create awesome thrash riffs by using various examples from some of the bands that I mentioned. The first element of thrash riffs seems to be that, first of all, there are no rules per se, but there are certain tonalities that tend to occur over and over again. And those are obviously minor tonalities, but to go further, they are the darker modes of the major scale like Locrian and Phrygian, as well as harmonic minor is thrown in there as well. But like I said, these thrash riffs don't necessarily have to pertain to a certain scale as other music would, you know, sticking within one key in order to convey whatever music you're trying to do, like in pop or something like that. Thrash is all about minor tonality, and then what you do from there is really up to you, but there are some scales that I think would be beneficial for you to know if you don't know them already. And we'll just use E for the root note of all these scales. So here's the E Phrygian mode. Here's E Locrian. And then here's E harmonic minor. So the benefit of knowing those scales and those intervals is basically when you're creating your riffs, you can understand where you can go and what tonality will offer which sound for you. So if I wanted to write a riff in harmonic minor, I understand which notes are available, you know, normally in like power chord form. So I'll understand that's going to be a harmonic minor flavor as opposed to like a Locrian. That would be those intervals. That's how you apply that knowledge. So the next piece of the thrash metal puzzle, I like to call it this bounce between rhythm and lead thrash guitar, but it's really the rhythm and the lead part. Rhythm means bass and lead means like what I would consider traditional rhythm guitar. So the really unique thing about thrash guitar is that it has this constant rhythm happening, which is usually that low, you know, that kind of alternate picked 16th note thing that's happening, and then in between there's some type of power chord or stacked fourth, something happening to convey the riff, which combines, you know, a bass part. As far as I'm concerned, it's real bass heavy, and then the regular rhythm guitar part is happening. So the bass guitar and the regular guitar will usually be playing more or less the same parts, and that adds to the rhythmic nature of the thrash. And on top of that, we have various things happening in order to get the guitar differentiated in the mix. So this rhythm and lead balance is heavily dependent on the tempo, which in thrash is pretty much always high. Slow tempos and thrash do not fit in the same sentence. So the fast tempo is usually accented by something happening like that. So a perfect example of that would be the song Angel of Death by Slayer. As you can see there, the tempo is blistering. I think it's like over 200 beats per minute. On top of that is that straight kind of happening. There's no pause. You cannot breathe while you're playing that riff. It doesn't give you any chance to do so. So that is definitely a quote-unquote perfect thrash riff. It is violent and aggressive and it's filling in that rhythm and lead element with the rhythmic bass, as well as the lead that has the power chord pieces fitting in to differentiate the guitar part from the bass part, and it's straight out of that harmonic minor tonality. So now I'm going to show you a little bit different take on thrash that still uses the same elements but allows you to see a different side. It's a slower tempo, obviously. I don't think anyone gets faster than Slayer, but it's still in that thrash threshold of BPM. And another thing I should mention, thrash is pretty much always in common time signatures like 4/4. Obviously there are exceptions, but overall it really makes you do this headbang that is very easy to do with the common 4/4 time signature. So the song Holy Wars by Megadeth is an awesome example of how you can take the elements that I've gone over in this video and still differentiate yourself. So this has the same kind of element of the droning bass, but it takes one of those bass notes out. Let's see if you can hear it. So that's pretty sweet. I really like how removing that fourth note in that measure before the little hammer-on happens can completely change a riff. So that's really cool. You can experiment with removing certain pieces of a rhythm that you come up with in a thrash riff to try and make it your own. So the final example I have for you is this band called Sodom, and the song is City of God. So this is a way to kind of include more of the melodic side with a thrash riff, but also still have that chugging bass element. Remember, the bass and the lead, I consider the bass to be something like that, and the lead happening still above that bass register, but overall a very rhythmic guitar style. There you have it, guys. Your tips to thrash riff writing. You want to obey the tonality that thrash demands, which is a minor tonality of some sort, whether that's harmonic minor or one of the major scale modes that are minor in their nature. So Locrian, Phrygian are the two most popular that I would recommend. And after that, you want to adhere to the formula of rhythm and lead, that balance, that perfect blend of thrashing on the bass strings and rhythmically being melodic but still rhythmic in that in-between episode that happens when you are not thrashing on that bottom string. And then from there, you want to have a common time signature, which will be most comfortable for you, and a high, fast BPM. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Check out my course, Modern Rock Guitar Techniques, linked in the description below if you want to learn more. It's full of techniques that will apply to any aggressive rock style of guitar, just like thrash. Until next time, keep shredding. See you later.